What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Yanks of the Cop. We are here for the pre-match reaction to West Ham United, Liverpool tomorrow, 11:30 in the States. I think it's 4:30 start time tomorrow in London, out in the UK. As always, I'm your host, Steve. I am with my main man from London, Mahomie. And then today we have a very special guest. We brought on a West Ham supporter to get all the latest news on West Ham's incredible season so far. We have Dom, and his Twitter handle is EOWHU_1995. Go ahead and give him a follow. Dom, thanks so much for joining us, man. How you doing?
You're welcome. You're welcome, my friend. I do like doing a preview with opposition fans. It's good to get insight of each other's clubs. Yeah, I'm all right. It's just a bit, obviously we're in lockdown in the UK and it's, activities are limited. But I'm looking forward to the match tomorrow. I think it'll be a good game.
I'm really excited for the match tomorrow. I think it's going to be a belter of a game, especially with West Ham's, form coming into this game. You guys are really high up the table. I don't think anyone saw you guys being here. But before we get into it, if you're all you guys tuning in, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button. We really appreciate you guys. Leave your questions in the comments. We'd love to get to them and ask Dom for you. But Dom, let's kick it off. I mean, really, where we always like to start is just talking about heading into the season. Tell us a little bit about your summer window and some of the new players you guys have brought in, and how they've been doing so far this season.
Honestly, if you told me at the start of the season, or like the week before the season, or just after the first game where we lost to Newcastle, if you turned around and said to me, going into that Liverpool match on the 31st of January, if you win, you go above them into the Champions League places, I'd have just said I'd have pinched myself. I thought I'm in a coma here. It's time to wake up because I'm dreaming too. I'm over dreaming here. The summer window I think it was tough for all clubs, obviously because of coronavirus and because of the season extension coming into the summer where transfers was meant to be done, and obviously because of courtesy they extended it until the autumn. It was the autumn, wasn't it? The final window.
Yep.
So it was a unique window for all clubs. Every club suffered financially because of COVID, but no club more than us spoke about it more because obviously GSB love to talk. If you don't know GSB, that's Gold, Sullivan and Brady, who are our owners of West Ham. And yeah, it was a poor window in hindsight, but the players we signed have been excellent. But it has also left our squad very, very thin. In a way now, looking back now, it's because of how good the players have been. It's not the worst window in the world, but we should have signed a hell of a lot more players because we do have a thin squad.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense.
So, what's the impact do you feel of David Moyes at the club? Obviously he's had issues at Man United. We're back to Everton again. How the Hammers fans taken to David Moyes and his style of football? And do you guys feel that he's the right man for the job for you going forward?
I think what it's turned out, the way things have turned out for us under David Moyes, I think is excellent for David Moyes. Before you think about how good it's been for West Ham, because it sort of re-enhanced his reputation as a manager. He was fantastic at Everton. Everton, I think him and Sir Alex were two of the last old school managers from that Premier League era. A lot of teams now just they go and a lot of teams do a scattergun approach with signings, big names, big money. Moyes was always willing to take a chance on an unknown, unproven player and have faith in them and make them a better player. And I think that's what he's done with us in a way. I think if you take a look at Mikel Antonio, injury prone, when we had Manuel Pellegrini in charge, he looked finished. I think there were a lot of calls to sell him. He just looked completely off the pace. I think a lot of our players looked off the pace, but Moyes has come in and he's done such a wonderful job. And if again, it's like if you take me back to this time last year, even after he came back, myself included, was calling for him to go, because when we had him the first time, it was, and I still believe this. I still believe like the way when he kept us up. I do think it was luck, because there are a lot of worse teams. We had Huddersfield in the mix. We had Swansea City, Stoke, and West Brom. So those last three ended up going down, and they were extremely, extremely poor. And no one liked the football when Moyes was first here was atrocious, and the results weren't great. It was a conservative approach. He didn't go in to win games, but I think because he's been given time, I think because last season I think it would have been he deserved a chance this season, and considering he's barely been backed by our owners, we have the smallest squad in the Premier League. Yeah, we've been lucky with injuries, because if players like Declan Rice, Soucek and Antonio were all out injured, then results would start to tail off and we'd slide down the table. I've no doubt about that. But it's the game management. He's given us an identity which we haven't had for years. We're hard to beat. We play good football. We score goals. I think we've only failed to score in 3 matches this season, which is a phenomenal record. This is our best defence since the days under Big Sam, and he's turned players like Craig Dawson, who again comes to is an example of not the best name, not the first player you'd want on your team sheet, and he's turned him into an excellent, solid player, along with the likes of Antonio. Bowen has taken like a duck to water to the Premier League, and I think that's got a hell of a lot to do with Moyes. So it's now like it's after the turmoil he suffered at Man United and Sunderland. I think it's good for him as well, because people are going to look at him, the job he's done at us, and think, wow, he's still got it.
Well, that kind of brings me to my next point. So I think, coming into the season, from an outsider's perspective, I always envisioned West Ham, fighting in the relegation battle. From a West Ham fan perspective, what was your expectation coming into the season? And then now that we're halfway through, seeing that where you are now, has that changed? And what's your new expectation now that you guys are doing so well?
I thought we were going to go down. Honestly, I didn't think we'd get a point until November, because that had a lot to do with our opening run of fixtures. I'm just going to get them up now so I can refresh them off the top of my head. But like I say, we didn't have a good enough squad on paper at first, because we didn't have many signings. Bearing in mind the season before, we almost got relegated, and we were going into the same season with the same squad. So the alarm bells were ringing. We lost the first game to Newcastle at home, where we looked completely flat, bereft of confidence, out of ideas, and there was a really toxic vibe. Then we went to Arsenal. Should have won that game. We lost 2-1. Should have won that game, battered them. But I think that performance gave the team confidence, and then we go and get like 2 unexpected results against Wolves and Leicester, beating them 4-0 and 3-0 respectively. And we're thinking, happy days. We got points on the board before what we expected would have probably been the Fulham game, which took place in November, because after that we had Spurs and Man City. So it was a horrible, horrible set of fixtures to open up the season with, but we done really well to get a decent number of points out of it. And I think we were unlucky against you lot as well in the reverse fixture.
Agreed. I definitely agree with that. I think you guys deserved at least a point in that game, in my opinion.
Yeah, I just think we sat back for too long, to be honest. I think that was Nat Phillips' debut, and I think had we gone for the jugular a bit, we'd have. And that's a criticism for Moyes. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I do have my criticism of Moyes at times. I think if he could improve, like well, he has improved us and he's improved himself after the turmoil. But I think if he wanted to add that little bit of extra initiative, I think he should go for more in games like this. The one against you in the reverse fixture, but it is what it is.
Do you guys think you got a chance to top four, or is that kind of like? Do you feel that's a bit still too much?
You can't rule anything out. Not this season. This season is one of the most strangest, unpredictable, unprecedented seasons. I think you got to be honest. A lot of it's to do with that crowds there. Everyone's beating everyone. I mean, who'd have thought you guys would be like battling for top four? Like, I thought you'd be like well clear of everyone else, like you were last year. But losing 7-2 to Aston Villa and losing to Burnley, it's just a strange, unpredictable season. So I don't think you could rule anything out. I just think you had more of it today with Everton losing at home to Newcastle, who couldn't buy a win. Everton are in and around that top four mix and race, and they go and lose 2-0 at home to a struggling side. So I think I'm not going to base it on tomorrow's result because it's just one game. But what I will say is we are beating teams around us. We're beating, when you look at it and you think you see a team and like, oh, we should beat them because they're like on our level or below our level. We are winning those games. The trouble is with West Ham in the past where we slipped up is we beat the big teams. For example, we beat you guys and then we lose to someone like Bournemouth, which was the case in our last season at Upton Park. So we've had to put that right. So we're not winning the games against the big teams this season, but we're winning against the teams around us. So I think that's a big improvement because it stops the teams around you getting points as well.
What do you think has been the key to your good season? Like as compared to last season, what's been so different now this year in terms of that's made you so good this year and effective?
Well, it's like I said, when it comes back to the Moyes question, he's brought an identity to us. We're a hell of a lot more organised. There's a lot of unity in the squad. We know what we're doing. We know how to play football. I think the signings of Bowen and Soucek in January really turned our fortunes around. Soucek's my hammer of the year for me. I think he's a complete he's a complete Hullet type midfielder. He does it all. He can defend. He can score goals. He wins the ball back. I think he'd walk into every midfield in the Premier League, in my opinion. He's that good. So obviously, where we've improved in midfield, along with the emergence, Declan Rice just gets better and better and better every single week, and he's bordering on world class. You just expect him to be good. So it's the development of the players under the guidance of Moyes, and obviously he's done a fantastic job, which has propelled us right up there. Let's just hope we can stay there or carry it on even better.
Yeah, so kind of going off of that, when you think about the match tomorrow, who, if let's say West Ham wins tomorrow, who are the players that we need to watch out for? Who are the players? You mentioned Soucek. Outside of him, who else are the guys that Liverpool should be keeping an eye on? Like, okay, these guys can beat us.
Antonio, for sure, because I'd say that because he's got a great record against Liverpool. Mm-hmm. I think in his first season, he scored in 2 games against you in the cup replay and in the league, and then the following season at Anfield as well. I think he may have scored more against you. Yeah, he scored at Anfield a couple of seasons ago as well. So he does like a goal against Liverpool, and when he's on it, he had a bit of a mare the other night against Palace. He could have had 4 goals, but it just wasn't his night. But when he's on it, he's a handful. And against your defence, I don't think you got many defenders available, have you? I think Matip got injured. Against your defence, I think you ought to be wary, and especially from set pieces, because we are good at set pieces this season. We scored countless goals from them. Soucek especially, most of his goals all come from set pieces, such a massive aerial threat. But I'd also say watch out for Ben Rama as well. Tricky player. I think Trent's going to be in for a tough afternoon dealing with him. Because he, once he gets past you and he can easily get past players, he's gone. We signed him permanently yesterday as well, which is fantastic. He just needs a goal. He hasn't scored for us yet, but he wins the ball back. Like against Crystal Palace, he won the ball back so many times, like dispossessing players, creating chances. He's got a fair few assists. He just hasn't scored. And I think once he gets his goal, he'll just get better and better and better.
Mm. And what's been West Ham's go-to formation and lineup normally in games?
So, at the start of the season, the first game we played a flat 4-3-3, and it just didn't work because obviously we were just completely outplayed by Newcastle and didn't even do anything. So we then reverted to a back five, two wing backs, three centre halves, two midfielders, and like the front three. It's like the same formation Chelsea used in the title-winning season under Antonio Conte, and Moyes played that in his first spell here, and it wasn't great. I couldn't stand it. I did not like it. I thought it was too negative, too defensive, especially when you're down at the bottom. You need to win games. I don't agree with setting up defensively, but it really showed, like in the Arsenal game, we played that formation, and the performance really improved, and then we ended up winning the next two and drawing like against Wolves and Leicester and getting draws against Spurs and Man City with it. So when I say we're hard to beat, it's because I think he's got the best out of the defenders with the formation. But since Masuaku got injured, the left wing back, we've had to revert to the back four, and it was a bit, you could see it changed the team a bit, but we were still able to cope. And I just think in the last 4 or 5 games, we've just got used to playing with it. So I think honestly, I'd be comfortable watching us in any formation now.
So what's been going on with Sebastian Haller this year? He was a guy I thought had a pretty good season last year, and he hasn't really seemed to be doing much this year at all.
He weren't great last season either. It's just, I think we had to get rid of him. He was last season. Obviously, we got a bad deal in not with the signings, but like I'm talking about like the ins and outs of transfers from that summer. We had before the season Haller arrived, we had 4 strikers. We had Arnautovic, we had Javier Hernandez, we had Perez, and we had Andy Carroll. Now they all left that summer, and we ended up with Haller, but no one really was bothered because Haller had such a fantastic season with Frankfurt in Germany. I mean, I watched Frankfurt in the Europa. They made the semi-finals of the Europa League that season, lost to Chelsea on penalties, but like him and Jovic were scoring in every round, and they were just a joy to watch, that front three. And I think everyone was chuffed. A club like West Ham getting at the time he was one of Europe's most sought after strikers. So we did well to get him initially, but he scored 3 in his first 3. He scored 2 against Watford, 2 great goals. But yeah, he just went on a bit of a drought, and up to when Pellegrini got sacked, we weren't scoring many goals. Antonio came back in the side, stuck him up top. We looked all right, and then I just don't think Moyes fancied him, and Moyes stuck with Antonio, and Antonio just makes so much difference, and much better striker, works so much harder, and the team played better with Antonio instead of Haller up front, because he was getting to a point where he was so isolated up front alone, and he just wasn't moving. Like my mate Nicky, who I do watch-alongs with and fan cams with, he said he'd rather a tree up front than Haller. He couldn't stand Haller because he was just so ineffective and so slow and sometimes lazy, and it just wasn't good enough. It wasn't working. That's a lot of money you pay for a striker, 45 million, and I think he scored like I think 12, 13 goals, and that's not good in 2 seasons. That's not good enough for a striker you pay £45 million for. And I think Moyes just didn't fancy him. And I don't think he. Another thing, I just don't think he could cut it out in England either. So Ajax has been a good move for him. I think he's hit the ground running there, got a few goals, got a few assists, and Ajax are an attacking side. That they have Tadic, they have David Neres. They got some good attacking players, which will he can play around with, and that will really suit him. That'll be a good move for him, and he'll do well there. European football, a much easier league. So yeah, I'm glad to get a shot of him, but we need to replace him. We've only got 2 days left of the window now. We really, really need to replace him because if Antonio gets injured, we haven't got any strikers.
Yeah.
Just 2 questions. What's happened to Diop? Like, there's rumours with him now. You know, is there truth that he'll go to Liverpool, or that West Ham are willing to let him go? And why is he not getting games? Because he looked like a really good player under you. So I'm just curious about what your thoughts about Diop.
I've heard the rumour about him going to Liverpool, and if it's true, I'd pay Liverpool to take him. I don't rate Diop. I haven't rated him for a while now. I don't think he's a good defender. I think he's extremely, extremely overrated. Everyone talks about him having potential to go at the top. If he carries on the way he plays, he's not going to go at the top. There's a reason he's not starting games for us. There's a reason he's getting kept out of the team by Craig Dawson. I would say as well, he's not a Moyes defender. Now, when we signed Diop, he looked good in spells, but at the same time, the defence wasn't as good as it was now. We were scoring goals and obviously outscoring teams, conceding but winning, and obviously no one really took notice because we were winning games, as you do really. But yeah, he just isn't for me. I think he had a good partnership with Balbuena in the first season, kept Ogbonna out of the team, but since Ogbonna's come back, you can't dislodge Ogbonna from our defensive position because he's like fine wine. He gets better with age.
Mm-hmm.
And like I say, there's a reason Diop's getting kept out of the team because of Craig Dawson. Craig Dawson's excellent as well, but I think when you play under David Moyes, and what I will say is this is what we've missed at West Ham over the years, is an old school, no nonsense, basic defender. I think Diop's way too flash. He tries to play out from the back too much when his distribution isn't great. I think he relies on his pace to get him out of trouble, which doesn't always happen. I think he makes too many mistakes. And I think when you have Craig Dawson, we just need defenders who do the basics. Old school defender. I mean, you could call me old fashioned, but I used to play football. I used to be a defender, and that's the first thing you do. You just do the basics, and there you go. You're doing your job right. I mean, unless if you've built around a very good footballing side like Man City and Liverpool, then maybe you can play the way Diop likes to play. But right now, he doesn't fit into West Ham. I'd say if he was to go to Liverpool, I'd say if we could get Origi in return, because we need a striker, that'd be great. But I don't think I can see you letting Origi go if because you've got a thin squad yourself, like in terms of injuries. And
we're trying to get him out. We're actually trying to get Origi gone. So
well, if that's the case, I think if we could loan Diop and you could loan Origi, I think it would be a great deal for both clubs. But I just think you really, we desperately need a striker, and you really need a defender. He'd get games for you because you've got no defenders, because you're playing Jordan Henderson and the unknown Nat Phillips at the back, and Matip keeps getting injured.
Is he better than Nat Phillips? Do you reckon?
Oh, definitely. I don't think Nat Phillips is Premier League proven. I think he's only playing for Liverpool because Van Dijk's injured.
And injured, and Matip is injured, and Fabinho is injured. So yeah, I completely agree.
Is Fabinho, is he out tomorrow?
Yeah, he's out tomorrow too. That Klopp actually just said today that he's hoping that he's back for City next weekend, but that's not even a guarantee. So,
well,
it's gonna be interesting.
So yeah, it's catching up with you lot now. The injuries. That's why you've tailed off in recent games. You've got a good win against Spurs the other night, but I just think Diop would play games for you. And maybe I think it would be a good move for Diop as well, because he'd get more game time. He'd be able to play the way he does in a Liverpool side that plays on the floor. So I'd be happy to see him go to Liverpool.
Yeah, I mean, I think for him, I mean, obviously, what we're missing is a natural center back. You know, Henderson does fine back there, but there's something to be said of having a guy who's used to playing that position and knows how to read the game from that position. No, the one thing I will say is the last time we got somebody from West Ham was Adrian, and we know how that worked out. So I don't know if Diab would be the number one guy for us, but it does look like this window. You guys,
Well, we got Roberta in return for Adrian, so I'd happily have given you Roberta instead.
Yes, yeah, I think it's lose. But what about?
Yeah, you want Henderson in your midfield, don't you? So
yeah,
I think it's crucial you sign a centre back.
Yeah. What about Jesse Lingard? Because I think he's coming to West Ham on loan. So like, what's the fan feedback of him? Because he hasn't really done anything at all for United.
He signed. It was confirmed last night. He announced. It was announced last night that we signed him, and he's been given the number 11 shirt. So he's a West Ham player. I'm not sure if he's going to play tomorrow. I don't know if he's signed in time, but I'd like to see him play. I think it's a good signing for us because we have a very thin squad, especially in midfield. We've got 3 central midfielders in the whole squad. So we've been extremely lucky that Declan Rice and Soucek have stayed fit. But, you know, he's not the best player in the world, Jesse Lingard, but he's not the worst player in the world either. You know, there's worse signings we could have had. I think, you know, he's a young man still, like, you know, not like teenage age, but relatively young. Still got plenty of years ahead of him in his career. I just think at the time, you know, when he broke into the United team, it was he got a bit caught up in the hype, and I think he gets a bit distracted by what his social media. You know, he likes to do a lot of Instagram and TikTok, and yeah, I mean, he's a good player. I mean, there's a reason England picked him to start near enough every game at the World Cup. He scored a cracking goal in the World Cup. I mean, albeit against Panama, but you know, it's a World Cup. It's a special moment. And yeah, it's just not been around much in the last year. I think he did score in the last game of the season for United, and then I think in the Europa League when that all restarted back in the summer. So yeah, he's played a handful, but not enough. And I think he needs to catch up on his fitness. He won't start. No chance he's going to start tomorrow if he is eligible to play. But I think he's a good squad player to have. I think he can offer something. And for a side like us who's really thin in every department, I think it's a good signing. I'm happy with it at least. I don't know what other people's opinions are. I've not really looked, to be honest, but I'm happy with it.
Nice. Well, this is a question for both of you. We talked about it a little bit. You know, Liverpool, no center backs tomorrow. Henderson is definitely going to be back there with either Nat Phillips, Reece Williams, somebody. So, Wahome, how concerned are you about having to start Henderson and somebody else in the back? And then Dom, do you feel like West Ham may smell blood in the water a little bit and have an opportunity to get all 3 points?
I'll let Dom go first.
There's a bit of a lag there. I think we're playing you at a perfect time. We've been lucky I think we've been very lucky this season in some games and with injuries, but also we're playing teams at the perfect time. You know, we played Man City at home in October when they were going through a bit of a transitional part in the season. We got a good draw there. Considering we've been battered by them like literally every season, every match we played them at the London Stadium. I just think we've come against these tough teams at the right time, and I think your side is so depleted. It's such a contrast to last year because a year ago today we just played you in the London Stadium and we lost 2-0. And I came out of that game and I said, do you know what? I'll take 2-0 loss. That's how good it was for us. You know, that was the best it was going to get. So fast forward a year and we're literally like below you on goal difference with a chance to leapfrog you to go into the top 4 against your team, which is so depleted with injuries. I definitely think there's a chance we can win tomorrow. Whether we will, I don't know. Like I say, we this season we've done it against the sides around us, but we haven't yet beaten one of the big boys. Sure, we've taken points off them, like Man City and Spurs, but we haven't got that win yet. So, listen, you still got your front three. You still got Salah, Mane, and Firmino. You still got Wijnaldum. You still got Thiago. I mean, listen, it's not going to be an easy game. I mean, if you're on it, you could wipe us out within the first 20 minutes, and you can't take anything for granted in the Premier League. But with your depleted defence, I think that's the thing we're going to target. And we score so many goals from set pieces this season. I think will literally you're going to have to be on your guard for them. Mm-hmm. I think that's where the big threat's going to be.
I think from Liverpool's perspective, there is a threat there with Antonio. I mean, obviously, even when we had Van Dijk and Gomez, Antonio was always a threat. And yeah, so obviously, I'm pretty sure aware that your aim is just going to get loads of balls in the box and just pump balls in the box. And I think we'll see Hendo and Nat Phillips again. I think because balls in the box, air balls. I think Nat Phillips is good in the air. Might not be as effective as a Matip or Fabinho, but he is good in the air, clearing headers away. So I think it would suit him more playing against Antonio than it would him playing against if you had like a quick, nimble striker that was that was fast. But I think Nat Phillips struggles against those type of players.
Antonio is quick though. Once he gets the ball, he can run.
It's not like a lightning quick. Like it's not
no. But he could still outpace players.
Yeah,
but the thing is, he's always got the hamstring in the back of his mind. I think that affects a lot of his game because we're all just like on edge watching him run, like waiting for the hamstring to burst, and we won't see him again for about 2 months. So, but yeah, I definitely think he's going to be a handful for you tomorrow.
So I think also Henderson's at least over 6 foot, so he's also a big lad as well.
Yeah.
So I think we haven't actually conceded that many goals from set pieces at this year either. So, most of the goals we have conceded have been like the odd penalty, or it's not really like set pieces. We haven't conceded many from set pieces, even with our makeshift defense we've had to put out. So
it's been mostly doing free kicks. Like Fernandez's goal against us, there hasn't been a ton of corner kick goals or, free kicks that lead to a header to a goal. There hasn't been a ton of it.
That was a good goal by Hobbier the other night as well. There's nothing you can do about them goals when they just hit it from 20 yards out, unfortunately.
Right. And also, Alisson's really good at coming for crosses and coming off his line. So, but yeah, I do think it'd be a battle for Nat Phillips and Henderson. I think they will have to be on their guard in terms of. I think the key thing would be having to tell Trent and Robert stop the crosses. Make sure that West Ham do not have a chance to cross. That'd be the key.
I think we'll be thinking the same as well because I think Trent and Robbo are two of the best fullbacks in the world, and to have them in your team, both of them in your team is great. And they're so dangerous at getting forward and crossing the ball as well. They got like a record number of assists, didn't they, like the other season for defenders. But I also think they like to play a high line as well. And I think, that could also play into our hands a bit too.
Yep.
True. But I think what I noticed against Spurs is we weren't doing as many crosses. We bamboozled Spurs because Mourinho set up trying to block us on the flanks. And so he played like 5 across at the back. And we just played for the middle because of Thiago. So, and that just.
You sus Mourinho though, it's easy. It's prehistoric football.
Yeah, he's made a lot of decisions this year that left me head scratching. It's like, why would you line up this way against this team? Why would you make these substitutions? Why would you bring in Gareth Bale and then not play him at all? Like a lot of things that he's doing has scratched my head a little bit. But homie, I mean, you brought it up. Like with us playing more centrally against Spurs, do you hope that we kind of continue that again against West Ham, or is it more of like whatever they give us, then you take it at that point?
No. I think we have to still play for the middle. I think that's the way we played our best football by playing for the middle, not by playing this. Because when we just play for the wings now, all that happens is Robert and Trent just span the box in pieces and expect they play as if we were Andy Carroll up top. They're not low crosses, they're high crosses. So I think the best way. I think West Ham will expect us to play through the flanks. That's how normally people. Normal teams set up that way. They'll expect us to play through the flanks. I think we need to play through the middle, get the ball, Thiago on the ball, and he can open up any defense and cause any team have real problems. And I think that's the way. And I think it also brings, like, when you play for the middle, it brings more forwards into the game. It brings them, allow them to do combinations and link up play with midfield. So I think that's the way I want to see us play through the middle tomorrow, and not revert back to just playing the balls into the box.
Yeah. So how big do you think the performance was that we put against Tottenham? Not even just the win, but just and like how we and the tactics that we played with, but how we played, because we've been playing so bad over this last month, homie. Like, what do you think? How big was that performance last week leading into this game? Because if in my opinion, if we didn't have that performance, I would be saying, okay, this is probably going to be another draw, or West Ham's going to find a way to win. But like, what has the last 2 games done for you in terms of confidence with this team?
Well, I think I wouldn't say the Man United game, because I didn't think we played that well against Man United, even though we scored goals. I didn't think we played that well. But I think the Tottenham game, especially, the fact that you have to put in the context that we lost Matip at half time. Spurs had, they lost Kane, they still had like players like Song, Mora, Bale, Lamela, Bergwijn, and stuff. So it's not as if they were losing Kane's a blow, but it's not as bad as losing Matip and then have to bring on Nat Phillips, who's, like, we all know he's not a Premiership level standard defender. As well as he's doing, he's not the level required. But I think that was the first time we saw the front three looking confident all together. They looked like happy. They were doing combination plays, and they're linking up. And also Trent came back into form. He was that fantastic against Spurs, and he looked like he was getting back his old form, because before we were just playing down the left-hand flank because Trent wasn't offering anything. But now he's back. That spells danger. And I think plus as well, we playing Ginny as a 6 and Thiago as 8. We just played so much more better football, and we looked like the old Liverpool. So I feel that result really, really should give us the confidence back. And plus, we've got a good record in London this year. We've won all our games in London, except for the Fulham one. Except for the Fulham one, we won most of the other ones in London. And we've got a good record against West Ham. We won, what was it, the last 1, 2, 3, 4. We won like the last 7.
Won the last 3.
No, I mean in total since like 1, 2, 3. So for the draw one in February 19, we've won.
Yes, 1, 2, yeah. 3. I think you won. You won all of them since, which would be 5. No, 3.
So yes, I think overall we have a good record against West Ham. They're not a bogey team like they used to be for us. Like under Rodgers and Benitez, they're not like a massive bogey team. So it's going to be a battle, because obviously Antonio is a threat and he's got a good record against us. So, but I do feel like you said, if we hadn't won against Spurs and we went into that game having drawn or lost, I would feel that West Ham the favourites here. And I think we're playing dismal football. But because of that game and the fact that it gave everyone, Liverpool look hungry again, and that's what we hadn't seen for such a long time. And I think that spells badly for West Ham, because the players are hungry. Like, we haven't seen Mane, Salah, smiling most of the season, and they were smiling against Spurs, enjoying their football. So that feels good to me going into this game. Even with the defensive problems, that feels good to me. The fact that they're all happy and Trent's back in form and Thiago's playing as a 10.
Well, another question for both of you, and Dom, I want to start with you. What's the key to beating West Ham? How are you going to go? How do teams typically beat them? Is it long balls over the top? Is it just playing through balls? What's your perspective on that?
Just take your chances, really. I think the last game we lost was Chelsea away, and it was a 3-0 loss, and it was never a 3-0 game. We are hard to beat, as I've said this season. We are extremely hard to beat, but we always give everyone a game as well. We've apart from the Newcastle game, we've given every team we've played a game. We may not have won every game. We've definitely lost a few, but we've given everyone a game. I just think we'll be hard to break down tomorrow. and I can see us scoring too. Excuse me. But I just think when you have a player like Thiago, who can just unlock everything in midfield, I think he'll be the key to breaking us down. I think if you've got a player like Thiago running the midfield, spraying the ball around, I think especially if we go to if we play the two in midfield, we'll struggle because you'll have the three in midfield, and it'll completely overwhelm us. So I think midfield will be the key tomorrow. That's how games are won for me, midfield. But yeah, it's definitely going to be an interesting midfield battle tomorrow.
Hearing that, Wahomie, are you concerned at all with Liverpool being clinical enough to get the chances when we get them?
I'm not going to say that the Spurs game hasn't fooled me. I still think that there were plenty of chances we had in the Spurs game. Like Mane could have had a hat trick with the chance he had. I still feel there's elements. Obviously, we still need to be more clinical. Like take our chances. Otherwise, because we should have been outside against Spurs. To be honest, like I said, Mane should have had a hat trick in the first half an hour of the game, and we should have been outside. So I still feel we need to be a bit more clinical. But hopefully, like I said, because of the performance, like in how Mane played, Bobby played, and Salah played, and even though Salah didn't score against Spurs, he still looked sharp and he still looked like he was on it. So I think for me, the key thing would be, it is going to take the chances. There might not be many chances because I was just looking at, I think West Ham only conceded one less goal than us. It's not going to be many chances, but it's just going to be, you have to take your chances. And I think I don't think the games between West Ham that high scoring when I look at the last fixtures. It was 2-1 earlier, 3-2 before, 2-0, 1-1. Except for the one in August with 1-4-0 and the February 1-4-1. They're not always that high scoring. The last few ones haven't been high scoring. So I think it's going to be like take your chances and also control the midfield. So I'd personally, to me, I'd want to see Thiago, Ginny and Jones tomorrow. I don't really play well against Spurs. I think it's about keeping the ball and winning that midfield battle. And I think that would be key. That's the key area. Get Thiago on the ball as much as possible and win that midfield battle.
Yeah, I mean, thinking about the game, like myself, I feel like this game is a lot bigger for Liverpool than it is West Ham.
I agree. That's what I thought.
Yeah, because I kind of feel like West Ham is playing with some free money right now, just with where they are in the table. But yeah, Dom, go ahead and continue with that thought. Like, do you agree?
Yeah, of course, especially now, the eve before the game, after the Saturday games have been played, because United have dropped more points today.
Mm-hmm.
So you've now got a chance to. Do you go above them if you win tomorrow?
No, we go a point behind them.
1 point back. Yep.
Right. It's it's a bit tight, isn't it? But I know you're a bit off. But you're a bit off Man City, and they won today as well. So it's a bigger game for you tomorrow. I think for us, we're definitely punching above our weight this season, and I think if we lost tomorrow but won the next game, I just think we'd be fine with that. Whereas if it was for you, you'd be even if you won the next game, you'd be thinking, well, is it too late for us now to win that title back? And I think if we were to finish in a European place, that would overachievement for us for sure. So I think obviously it's a bigger game for you tomorrow, but if we do get a win, I think then the games will start to get big for us now.
What do you think, Wahomie?
Yeah, I think for us, every game's a must win for us now. We're saying that since when Dyke got injured, it's a must win game for us every game because we obviously if we win that game tomorrow and then beat Brighton and beat City, it shortens the gap to 4 points. And it puts City under pressure. So for us, obviously, we can't afford City with a game in hand to go much further than this. 7-point gap is manageable to come back. 10-point gap is probably too much. Like even City found that last year, it's too much. So for us tomorrow, we have to win. And we have to treat West Ham like we did Spurs. play that how we did against Spurs. We can't go into that game as we've normally done, where we just think, well, that the game is going to be easy, or that we can just be lackluster. We have to be on it from the start, and take the game to West Ham and control the game. So for us, it's a must win, and we have to seize the day. Like I said, teams have dropped points now, and now's a great chance to capitalize on that. We have to, take these chances, because otherwise, this condensed season, there's not going to be that many chances to you can't keep just playing, against the big teams. And plus, our away form overall, the season's not been good enough. So tomorrow night is another chance to get back-to-back away wins, and then start to build up some confidence and go on a run. So for us, it's 100% must win. We have to win at all costs.
How do you line up tomorrow, homie?
Tomorrow, for me, obviously, I'd go Alisson in goal. Obviously, Trent on the right, Rob on the left, Henderson, Phillips. Gini's a 6. I would go Thiago as the 10. Actually, I said Jones. I think tomorrow might be actually a battle, actually, rather than if Milner can last another game in the back-to-back. I don't know, because we played. What was that?
He played the full 90, didn't he, against
Tottenham?
Tottenham?
We played on Thursday. Yeah, we played Tottenham. What was that? On Thursday.
Yeah.
I don't know if he can last the full 90. I think it's going to be a battle, actually, thinking about it. I don't know. If he can last it, even 60 minutes, I'd start Milner and then bring on Jones, actually. And then the usual front three, Firmino, Salah, Mane up top. And then, depending on how the game goes, I would look to maybe bring on Shaq or Ox at some point in the second half if we're desperately using goal.
Are you playing 4-2-3-1 or 4-3-3?
So played 4-3-3 last game.
Yeah, it looked pretty good.
I'll stick to 4-3-3 for this one. I was thinking 4-2-3-1 to protect the defense, but I think just play 4-3-3 and just just allow Thiago to do his thing.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with the lineup. I think it's going to be Gini, Thiago in the 8 with Jones more ahead. I just think after that performance, I don't think Thiago goes back into the 6 after that game against Spurs, because he has opened up so much for us offensively. But thinking that that's going to be our lineup, what you think about tomorrow's game? What do you think the key battles are? Where is the game going to be won and lost? I think. When I think about it, it's Antonio against our center backs. I think that's one big one, and then I think the other one is can Firmino link up again and link up like he did against Tottenham. Those are the 2 things I'm watching for. But what about you guys?
I'm probably thinking who's the West Ham's DM?
Rice and Soucek.
Rice, yeah. I think Rice versus Thiago. If they can stop Thiago, they can keep him quiet, then they'll go a long way.
That will be an awesome battle. I think Rice is definitely capable of shutting down Thiago, but for how long? I don't sure. I think Thiago's world class. Great midfield. So underrated.
And then I think would probably be. I think Mane's after that goal against Spurs. I think he's the key for me, because while Bobby is obviously fantastic in Spurs, I think if Mane's on it, then I think he's the key tomorrow. So it depends. I think it'll be your fullback, whoever stops, how they deal with Mane.
I think Mane's your most dangerous player.
Honestly, I think out of the front 3, I fear him the most. I think he's just excellent. He just gets better and better. He's genuinely such a world-class attacker. I just love watching him play.
Yeah, he's awesome.
But we also have Soufal, who is statistically the best right back in the league, or one of the best right back in the league, better than Trent this season in terms of
goals and assists.
Depends on awful this year.
Not goals, sorry, because he hasn't scored, but defensive minded.
Yeah.
He's just, he's very good friends with Sushek. They both came from Slavia Prague. They're both Czech, and he's probably the best right back I've ever seen play for West Ham. Like he costs 5 million, and if we were to sell him now, he'd be about, I'd say, 50 million. He is genuinely an excellent right back, and I think he'll have a game against Mane tomorrow, but it won't be an easy game for Mane either.
All right, so let's get to it then. Official predictions. What do you guys think for the game tomorrow?
I'll get Dom go first. See what he thinks.
It's a nice thing that it's going to be hard to call for me, because, like I say, this time last year in the build-up to the fixture last season, I was saying 5-6-0 Liverpool, and I was happy that it was only a 2-0 loss. This year, it's hard to call, which is, I think is testament to how well we've done and how well we've improved. It's a hard one to call for me, but I'll say, because we haven't come up against, haven't won a game against the big teams yet, and I think, like you were saying, after the win against Spurs, the confidence is back after a bit of a winless run. You're going to be rejuvenated, springs in your steps, but then you've got a dodgy defence. I don't think we're going to win. I think the best we're going to get is a draw, and I think it could easily be a draw. I'm going to go for 1-0. 1-0.
It's not a bad prediction. Well, homie, what do you got?
I'm going for 3-1 Liverpool. I think he will score, because I think Antonio always scores against us. So he'll probably get a set piece kind of goal. But I think
that'll be my second prediction, by the way. 3-1. That's my second prediction.
I think Salah will get a goal. I think he's due a goal, and he loves a goal against. He loves a goal.
He does, yeah. He does like against us, yeah.
So I think Salah will be looking at Mane, and then Salah will pop up with a goal, and I think Bobby will get a goal again as well, and then maybe I'm going to go for all three of the front three to score tomorrow. I don't normally do, but I'm going to go for that. So 3-1.
Yeah, Mane likes to go against us too. A lot of players like to go against us. It's so annoying. Aguero, Rooney, Giroud, Lukaku. Ugh. I could go on all night here.
The reason why I'm going 3-1 as well is because I think the need for us to have to win. I think Liverpool know. They said it. Players have said it as well. They said it after the Spurs game. We have to back it up with the win against West Ham. I think they know that there's no more margins for excuse now. We have to follow up with another win.
I think if you get an early goal, I think you're going to win. I just think our game plan will be out the window if you get an early goal, and I just think. But then again, we've come back a lot this season, and when we went 1-0 down at Crystal Palace the other night, usually I get so deflated and annoyed, and so does the club, the team. But I was like, all right, fine. I've complete faith in us coming back to win, and we did. So maybe not. It's unpredictable. The whole season unpredictable. This game's going to be probably unpredictable. It's going to be a great game. It's going to be an excellent game to watch.
I agree. I think tomorrow's going to be a really good game. I just think that West Ham is going to be tough to break down, and if we don't get an early goal, we're going to start to scramble a little bit, which could open the game up a little bit. That being said, I did take a lot of positives away from that Tottenham game. I think it's going to be 2-1. I do think that because of our defensive situation, I think Antonio will find one. But I just think with Thiago and Mane finding his form last game and Firmino finding his form last game, Declan Rice can't do it all by himself back there. So I think that we'll find a way to get a couple. And who scores? I think Mane could probably get another one just with his form last game, and then I don't know, maybe a free kick from Trent. Who knows? Because he's going to have some confidence after that goal. So I'm going to go 2-1 Liverpool. They get the 3 points. But that pretty much wraps up this episode. Let's see how it goes tomorrow. Everyone who tuned in, we appreciate you guys. But Dom, thanks so much for joining us, man. I really appreciate it.
It's a pleasure. It's been a good chat. It's been an interesting discussion.
Yeah.
It'll be an interesting game tomorrow.
I think so too. I think it's going to be a hell of a game. So everyone out there, we appreciate you guys. Go ahead and follow Dom at DOWHU_1995. And
You know better than me.
Yeah, see, look at that. I got it down now. I only need to hear it once. Now I got it. So, all right. But otherwise, up the Reds. And we'll see you guys tomorrow immediately after the match for the post-match reaction. So take care, everybody. Have a great night.
Hit that like and subscribe button.
Smash that like and subscribe button. What are you doing if you haven't done it yet?